All right. With that, we should get started, Fred, because we've got lots to cover today. What I thought we'd do today, and by the way, I have got our chat open. So if you are on any of the streams, so we're on YouTube and Facebook, if you want to say hi, please do. If you've got any questions, please mention it. If you don't like my playing, then keep that to yourself. That's fine. What I thought we'd do today is actually play a little bit longer section. So we've done lots of really minute kind of work on technique. So what today is going to be about is playing some slightly bigger sections of the works, puts me under a bit more pressure so I can tell where I'm at, and gives you something a bit more context for the work that we've been doing. So let's start. Should we start with the Scarlatti, Fred?
Sounds great. That's the D major sonata, Kirkpatrick, listing 96, correct?
That's it, yeah. And so I'm going to play the A section pretty much. So all these Scarlatti sonatas are all in two parts. So this is the first part and it presents most of the material as well. And if you are watching the stream, then if I could get a little hello from somebody just to let us know that all our levels are okay, that'd be super as well.
Right, yeah.
All right. All set?
Sounds great.
There we go.
Good job, Tim.
I think I did one extra thing at the end there.
yeah, there's something to talk about there. I was wondering what you were doing rhythmically. So yeah, curiously, if anybody has the score, it's usually laid out, as you said, in Scarlatti sonatas, we usually have it in binary form. It's common that you'll find some layouts where there's 2 pages of the A section and 2 pages of B, and that's what I'm looking at right now. So my first page goes up through measure 52 and then starts with 53. So I was just going to say, as overall, your second page, I actually think you started to get more in a groove with the overall sort of dance feel, which I think is present in the whole piece. And there is one, I hate to, what do you call it, risk derailing the main thought, but usually I myself, if there's something I hear that I think is funny in the score, I usually ask the person right away. So I'm wondering, in measure 68 and in 75, your left hand, is anything changing on that when you have the, in measure 65?
Can you play it, Fred, because I don't have markings this time.
Okay, so where you have...
oh, yes, okay. Yeah, I know the bit. So I've got...
that should still be, I think that's still a B natural. There's a B flat in the top voice, yeah, but it's B natural in the top, and you're playing B flat in the left hand. So
so I've got B flats both hands.
Yeah, I don't. But aren't you gonna? You're playing the A also. Is it B? Is it D A?
So it's D.
Left hand.
Oh, left hand. D F B flat.
Oh, that is really an error. So it's.
What have you got?
So it's the same as the 3 previous bars where it's D A B. So
really? Oh. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just a progression. It's actually a simpler progression in terms of this chord right here of this You kind of have a modal mixture of a 2-6-5, right? And then
Oh, you know what? I've just seen there is a footnote, and it's right at the back. It does have the original as what you've got. So yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, that's an easy fix.
Probably what happened is that a 19th century editor decided they wanted to have a Neapolitan 6 there, but it's actually quite striking and suddenly doesn't hit me as very sort of Italian Spanish.
Okay, great, easy fix that one.
So anyhow, so Tim, overall, the main thing that I thought we could work on that you might add to this is a continuity, and maybe I'm fresh off of my MTNA session where I was just doing a session on Leon Fleischer's Secret of Rhythmic Playing, where how you use upbeats and what he used to talk about as structural rhythm. So I'm wondering, when you start, maybe just remind us all how you play the first 6 measures up to the trill. That's fine, yeah. By the way, the trill sounds better. So
Thanks.
I would suggest, sometimes it's easy to come in, you have a basic 3/8, right? So we're feeling it in 1, because 1 it's a compound meter. But then when we have that, we have to figure out, how are we going to shape it imaginatively? What is the phrase structure going to do? Where are we going to go to? Certainly the point of arrival is the, right there. But before that, we have allegrissimo, right? So this is a pretty bright allegro. And I wonder if right now you're coming in with a lot of, by the way, should I shift to another camera view? Would it be helpful?
Yeah, maybe the downward view when you play. Yeah, that's great to see.
So I think right now you're coming in, and I go ahead, actually just play 2 bars, please.
Okay.
That's fine, yeah. So what I'm hearing is, let's just see what you hear if I go, So there's a lot of downward motion, and I would suggest if you come from the surface of the keys and think of, sometimes, even if it's the first downbeat, you might think of it as having some sort of upbeat energy. So in other words, if you're taking all of those first, that's 15 notes, almost a 15-note upbeat to the trill. If you have, so these are not, but think of them as moving from, feel the upbeat of like these 3, 2,
yeah, okay.
And then, now just try to avoid your first one as an accent, because I don't think you need, you could just think of it as a light one going. Think of your trumpets, they're coming.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Better. For my taste, I think your very first one, it could be the zoom thing, but I'm hearing a pretty big on this one. So maybe almost de-emphasize your first one and feel like your top voice is going, this one to here, but not,
Okay, yeah.
Really close from the surface. And then now just tell me, because I can't tell for sure, but what I'm hearing is one of those is really jumping out. Do you know which ones are there any that are, how would you sing that, by the way? Okay, so what if I suggest, if you had, instead of, you have a more resonant voice than mine, and my voice keeps breaking, but it sounded like you went, yum, pum, pum, pum. What if you had a little more point in your trumpet sound, and it was more like, that's a little high for me. Yum, bum, 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 bum. Yum, bum, bum, bum. Sometimes I'm getting yum on that one, or I get yum, bum, bum, that one. The third one.
Okay.
So be careful that you avoid that. So now think of that you're cycling the rhythm. If you took the first one out, you'd have bop, bop, bum, and you'd have bop, bop, bum. Eventually we'd have bop, bop, bum. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Think 2, 3, 1 as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? We don't want all of them. You want to think of that cycle of them and then add them together so you get yep, bop, 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 bop. Whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a real
Yes.
I can feel the lift that you're giving it.
Yeah, try it out. See how it works for you.
Yeah. Keep the comments coming through, guys. I can see. Thank you for the audio, and shouldn't be more like a trumpet? ? Yeah, which is what you said. Yeah.
Indeed. that's already much better. And I think you self-edited on one of those. I think you heard that one sometimes.
Yeah.
And so physically, I'm going to shift to the side view. And I think what you might have been doing was playing downward like this. And I would play from the key like this. Try that once where you're really from the key and focusing your staccato. That's much better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's given it, I feel a sense of... It feels kind of lighter to me, and
much lighter,
that dance is in there now.
I think so, and if we come too far from the piano, it's easy to slap down. You told me just before we went live that you've played a lot of music theater, and so you want to avoid what can happen in the pit, especially when you're thrown. We were just talking about how difficult the music is for that, and I've seen a lot of people who play that, and if they're not careful, you can get into habits of sort of slapping the piano. And so, but if you consciously make the effort that you're going to start from the surface of the keys, you're able to focus it and avoid random accents. So you're doing that. I'm just going to give you one other thing to think about now. And now I'm going to add the secret of rhythmic playing, which is wait as late as possible on the long notes before, and still playing in time. So instead of going, you do the, which is fine. I like the little nachschlag, it's fine. But be careful that it doesn't come off too soon. So in other words, I'll do yours. As opposed to the second one is a little early. It's in time sort of, but it's so if you take out the little nachschlag, you'd have yum bum bum ba, yum bum bum ba, yum bum bum ba.
So the yum bum bum, you're slightly delaying? Is that what you're saying?
Just before you play it, and so it allows you to compress it ever so slightly. So the difference, so if you go, because if you did it absolutely straight, it would be like this. It would be ba 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 bum, ba 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 bum, right? But if I change it just ever so slightly and I make my long notes longer and I compress the other ones, and I'm taking it in 1 as opposed to 3, I get ya ba ba ba, ya ba ba ba. Can you hear that's a little later, but it's absolutely in time. So try to be as late as possible, but still in time.
Wow, okay. What am I doing?
Yes, you're getting it. You're getting it. And again, just I know I'm going to be a nag, but just I want to make sure that you own when you hear something randomly be too much. Like sometimes you're starting out with. So start with an upbeat and imagine those 3 notes are actually going onward. So like yup bum 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 is better than bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, okay. Something to work on for sure.
Good. And I think that gives the transition now to this next section, because now if you can keep the same tempo in this section and you're going to shape when you get to the octaves. Actually, if you jump to the octaves, don't think too hard about it. Just play how you played in measure 19, which is where the octaves start. Play those.
That bit?
Yes, please. And that was, by the way, that was good accuracy. What do you notice about if you sing the sort of second soprano voice? How are you thinking of that? The shaping of that.
I'm probably not shaping it particularly.
Actually, you just sang it much better than you played it. So,
okay.
so this is one of my main points: is that the more we use our voice, Mr. Fleischer would say to me, he goes, that one of my best teachers since leaving Schnabel is my voice, and I think, oh, that's where I got it, because all the time when we sing, we articulate our intentions, and then we often catch ourselves not realizing our intentions. And so if you go back and you can, later on, you can check our recording, and you were back to what I said about the beginning, where you had a lot of attacks that were, I'll do the side view, where you had them coming from above like this. And you might want to stay from close to the keys and thinking maybe the left hand first of 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So all of those, it's like one, you hear the jig like dance to it. And and in pianists in general, we often get intimidated by octaves and we feel like we have to play really accurately. But really a great way to practice them, in fact, maybe you should try this once, is can you do isolate your second soprano voice and the top voice of your left hand with your best fingering. I'll do it once just to show you. If I go.
So use left hand fingering, whatever fingering that works.
Yeah, I'm using 2 on the A. I'm going 2, 4, 2, 1. That seems pretty easy. Third finger probably. Third.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Already better because that's the voices that we really want to hear moving anyhow, and we're starting to sense the lilt that's underneath that. So try that with all the voices. And one thing you notice, Tim, is that in this case we kind of wait for this one. Ba, ba. Remember, in the first thing I was suggesting that you hang on to the dotted quarter note. But now we're going to have ba, ba. We're kind of floating, and then ba, 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 ba. So yep. Do you feel a direction to that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, and another secret is when you start the right hand softer. Don't bang the right hand. Keep it close to the keys, and voice to that middle voice. Yeah, lighter to start. Bravo, so much better. Obviously, you get the.
Thank you.
So you hear what I'm asking for, right?
So I do. Yeah.
Your musical intention. Now I'm going to put you on the spot to put together what you just did in between the sections that we did, where it says tremulo di sopra. So when you have the. Let's hear how you do that.
Oh, there. That bit.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, it's actually quite a bit better. Would you maybe tell all of us what do you think you're aiming for differently now?
I'm trying to remove the thumpy accents that I was tending to do, so I'm trying to be more closer to the keys, and trying to think about what direction I'm heading in. So this is a piano crescendo up to fortissimo by this stage. So I'm just trying to think of that as a gradual build.
Okay. Yeah. Another thing you might direct energy toward is that if you think about the I keep coming back to upbeat energy. So if it starts out with, even though it starts on a downbeat, I'm having you sort of flip it around and imagine it as an upbeat, that it goes yup up up like it's, and that's not a heavy downbeat, the measure 2. But then when you get to measure 11, which is where it has the now I'm not playing it as legato. You just said you wanted a more legato. I actually would
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think you might decide that yeah, and then for my taste,
kind of thing.
I like the lifted of the third because it goes and then
more of that feel.
And then now let's do another experiment right now. What you just played, could you play the same thirds with your right hand one time, where you go? Now play exactly with your left hand. It was quite a bit better. Did you notice what happened?
I don't know, but it sounded better.
Yeah. So
that's a cool trick. I've not done that before. So playing something in the other hand can.
Very important, I think. It's really, especially with your dominant hand, but it can be even helpful the other way around. So when you play it with your dominant hand, and you play it with that intention, I'll switch over to this. Then you get a very musical result, and then all of a sudden you've heard it in a new way, so your left hand can replicate that much more
Replicate
easily.
it.
So definitely do that. And then I do think the more we go through this, I can be very progressive about saying, yeah, you like sell me. In fact, let me come back to the face view. You just made me think of because we're doing a lot of Chopin, and one of my main teachers is Anne Shine, and Anne Shine worked for 20 years with Arthur Rubinstein, and she told me how before she did her series of Chopin concerts at Alice Tully. There were 6 concerts, and she would play for Rubinstein, and he'd take the music and sit at the edge of the room and put it, and his basic thing was convince me. And she said, and when he wasn't convinced, his legs would start shaking tremendously. So I can be both very progressive, but there are other times it's like, so if it's not convincing, then I'll say, for my taste, I don't think going legato on this. I think it's actually causing your rhythm to suffer, but it also loses that kind of energetic
Yeah, I agree. I agree now that I've heard both. Yeah.
So then now if you go back, and especially if you listen to the beginning of your performance earlier later, I think one other thing I'm suggesting is that if you conducted through this, you'd have whatever. And so I don't know if you could tell I was holding as late as possible before I go to the and then I think if you can check to see, because you in these little fragments like measures 1 to 10, you had measure 11 to 19, measure 20 to 19 to 25 or so. You had quite a bit of rubato. It was kind of the accidental rubato, like the accidental tourist or something. So as you structure your rhythm, I think you'll notice it more. And you might even try this also, Tim. I don't know if you've done anything with the metronome. You certainly would never want it. No one should ever go to the 8th note with the metronome, but we wouldn't want to go lower than that. But then try it every 2 bars. So it's
oh yeah, okay. I haven't done that.
And if you do that, I think you'll find that your own rhythm, your internal rhythm, what I call your sense of macro rhythm develops, because you have those missing beats and you have to kind of still feel it, but you also then become freer. You get away from the straitjacket, which the metronome can really impose on us in ways that, but you're still having a great structural rhythm that has a good impression. And then when you take it off, it may be a little bit more flexible than that. And you'll find throughout the whole first page, I felt that was the same sort of thing, that it was a little less structured than, so when you get to the, and now I know you're terrific with harmony, but I did want to ask you, were you?
We'll make this the last point on this, Fred. Just watching the time, okay?
Yeah. You're great on harmony. So, but I wanted to know, as I was listening, were you consciously thinking of harmonies as they went by? For example, where it says mutandi deti, is what I have in my score in measure 33. Is that what you have?
Which sec? I don't have the numbers. Sorry. Which section?
That's right where the C sharps start.
I'm less thinking of harmony and more trying to think about this melody in the left hand.
Good. Okay. So I think the reason why I asked you about both is they're both important. And what happened, because you actually had a couple of inaccuracies that I wondered were connected to not a conscious analysis, the lack of conscious analysis. For example, when the first harmony after you have A major, this one perhaps is F sharp, minor 7, and then what do you have in the next one?
B major kind of thing.
And going on, the next one is E.
E major.
Going on.
What's this? That's a dominant 7th or something.
Right. So you answered my question. You answered my question, right? Because I often find it's like, yes, it is indeed. It's a C sharp 7. I would actually go ahead and write those in and think of that, and then because the next one, then you have the sequence from there coming back to the B7. Right here, this B7, which you actually missed. And the reason why I brought it up is because you by nature, like me and many others, you wear so many hats, which means that you're often playing with music, right? I do the same. And
Yeah.
so if we're not fully engaging our senses, including our intellectual analytical sense, we may end up relying on something else, including visual, which I actually think is the weakest. It's my weakest, and that doesn't mean I don't experience the world in rich ways through visual, and we have to when we're sight reading. But consciously utilize your analysis as well. So I know we have to move on. There's one thing before. Let's try to get 2 little points on this page. One is on your repeated notes. How are you doing the?
This motion.
Yeah. So let me show you on this one. For this, I'd recommend in slow motion. I'm going to do it really slowly once. If I go. So I'm not going to do this.
Oh, okay. This is controversial. Yeah.
Right. So I think you're actually pulling it under like this. So this actually makes the hand. And actually, I would say, hopefully, we get to a place where this won't be controversial, because once we do the demonstration here of opposing muscles, we'll see the error of our ways. In other words, if we do this, and we try to move our fingers quickly, it's very difficult, right? When we move from here, I think I might have showed this in your first.
Yeah, we've done this before. Yeah.
That this is more akin to that. So when we play, like a famous repeated note section is the opening of the Liszt Tarantella, second page actually. These kind of things. But notice that you can play this way, but the hand is all curled now, and so now we've tightened up these, shortened our flexors and extensors. We're actually flexing, and instead of that, we can kind of go like this. So notice that the hand is always coming back to rest. So if you do that here, that's actually better, I think, than going, which I think is happening in your playing. So
So how do I approach that?
Okay, so I think the way I'd start with is take a look at my hand here and notice that the 5th finger and 4th finger are quiet. So I'm going to do this slowly, where I play 3rd, and then I'm just going over to the 2nd finger, and then and so I'm kind of slowly sort of rotating. Notice how I'm coming in here with that vibrato motion, that we did before on the fall board, where I had to sort of knock. And so now if you do this, and you kind of notice that if you look at my elbow here, you can see that it's actually moving in and out. But this would be just with my fingers if I just do it like that. And
I see.
That's pulling the tendon. So if you have a more integrated motion from here, you're able to play.
So we'll go 3, 2, 1, and then
3
back to here. So it's this kind of a.
Yeah.
Does that look right to you?
It does. Yeah. Does that help here too, to see this? Same. So there's a kind of, you can see the hand just sort of stays open like this, and we rarely have to do this, which causes the tension in there. And I think it's causing unevenness of inflection in your attacks.
I've never felt good about. I just always missing notes, or like I can do it quite fast, but it's not fun to do. I have a feeling that once again, I'll really enjoy working on that. I'm going to watch this video back.
Good. Yeah, you can see it, like I'm modeling it right now with my hand open, and it's just naturally open. I'm not flattening it. I'm just keeping it comfortably natural. And then this way, this becomes easy. In fact, I'm working on the Rachmaninoff 3rd right now, and it's where you have to do the same C sharps on this in the 2nd movement. And I'm now coming to do mostly 1 and 2 because of the other.
Oh, because you've got to get octaves in it, yeah.
But it works with 3-2-1 and 4-3-2-1, and so this is helpful there. So we need to move on, but before we skip, the last 4 measures on this bar has this. Do you hear it? I think that Scarlatti is a little simpler, and you did a pretty big diminuendo from there all the way down to the bottom, and that seemed to be your main sort of point that you were getting. But I wonder if you can keep the rhythmic vitality, which is 3-1-2, 3-1-2, 3-1-2, 3-1. So if you go feel the energy of that? Keep it 3-1.
Yeah.
Better. Now try this. I think if you go back, remember what I suggested about in measure 11 where you had the, I think if you keep the third eighth note as a staccato or at least a kind of upbeat, it's ba as opposed to.
Oh, okay. So I've got tie. Oh, so this might be another one of those little. I've got the tie. So that note is tied, and that is added to it.
If you did that, if you did that, you're saying the bottom note's tied, which I don't think I'd do. But even if you did, I would make the top voice detached. So I would play. That's tough. But that I can't believe there's a tie there. I mean, I've just never heard that before.
Okay.
So I don't know what edition we have, but yours, I can't say for sure that it's not right, but I'm not familiar with that. My edition's clean; it doesn't have any ties.
Yeah. Okay. I'll check on it. Conscious of the time though, so I think it'd be good to move on. Yeah. Great. We've got some feedback from people too. What do people think of Fred's suggestions there? Have you played this before? Let us know in the comments wherever you are. Francisco says, "I've got to go. Great teaching, Fred. It's a privilege hearing you. Awesome initiative, Tim. Not to brag, but got a funny recording of this number. I'll take my So there's a recording posted in the chat. There you go. Let's check it out. All right, so let's go to Chopin Opus 10 number 1.
Okay.
And for those people who have watched me play this from the start, I thought, Fred, what we might even do is I might get my video editor to take the recording of the overhead of this and compare it to my hand position when I first played it to you. And we'll actually see, because it feels very different to me now.
That's great.
Yeah, I'll get into it. I'm going to play up to and through the black passage section. So it's approximately 2 pages.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes. Said before we started that A major one is not too bad for me. One that fell down.
And actually, I was seeing that you actually are using the regular. Here, I better switch to this one. I thought you had been using what I call the cheat fingering, which you were playing this. I thought you were playing, but you're not.
Oh no.
You're playing that. So we should definitely give those. I remember the first time I played this for Anshine, she showed me all these cheats, and then she said, "But look at your hands," and then she forbade me to do them. She could still do it
because you got big hands.
So, but actually, there are many small-handed pianists that are surely watching, and it's something worth knowing that there are other options. So first of all, I want to say bravo to you. Like that's actually significant improvement from the last time. So that would be a fun thing to juxtapose. I mean, first of all, what are things that you're noticing that you're doing? Like, what does it feel like? Obviously, there's always levels to push this.
Well, if I mean, clearly I've got lots of funny notes in there, but it feels far more calm. I don't feel I'm not stressing as much. The tension is not there. In fact, it really. the only place that I feel it is towards the end of just before the black section, and I think it's probably because I've got a passage or two in there that I'm still stretching. I haven't worked closely enough on because I've had to retrain my brain completely to play how you've taught me on this one.
Yeah,
but it does feel freer. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that's I'm really quite thrilled with what you've been doing so far. The thing that I notice is that your form, you clearly have done the what I call the hard work, the work. That's
I did a lot of work.
I invite students to do. For example, let's say you're doing this passage, and just to remind people that we're talking about taking small groups and maybe going and really making sure that that's good, and maybe slowing it down, and then really fast, make sure it's, I still do, and then make sure, etc., and moving the other way. And then also, if you have time, when I was in graduate school, I would have done every permutation. So if I'm starting here one time, the next time I'd start here and go, etc. And sometimes you might notice that some notes don't speak as much. Often it's the fourth finger, like you might get, and you need to have. So often, one thing I'll do that I find helpful is to shake them out and play them at least double. Some people even triple them, where you go, and then play.
Oh, wow.
And then, like for that one, I still thought this one, until you get enough the power in there as well. So you obviously did some of that, where maybe not the repetitions yet, but the fast practice I think you must have done, because we talked about the groupings of like where you have to go, like that. You did something like that, right?
Yeah, I did a lot of those. And then I found that I worked really hard on that in a number of the first sort of page-ish. And then I was able to get the similar hand movement without doing so much of the rudiments in some of the other sections. That's what I found.
Yeah, and I think so. What that accomplished then is you're getting the basic form, and then it starts to become more of a second nature, because that becomes your new default. To get to now imagine yourself going to the level of the kind of uber perfectionism, where you actually have to play every note right too. then you have to do all of that work on every one. But at least but what you just said is actually more important. We were talking before we went live about the process, and also keeping it fun. Like, we only have one life to live, so let's do this well at the time, and remember that everything is part of a process. And when you can experience a kind of, we like to get these big jumps. Sometimes we get a quantum leap. And I think you experienced something really significant here. This is by the way, just for anybody watching, especially if you don't play this piece, Tim went through perhaps the most famous part of this rather difficult piece. Every virtuoso considers this a virtuoso etude, because
the one with all the orange marking on it.
that's right. Yeah. Basically from around measure 29. And so actually 29 is okay. Although, there's something I only found today after you told me about this passage, which you were doing. Most editions have it the way that I do, which is in this measure with the C7 chord, which, by the way, you have two octaves that you play down an octave. I just want to make sure you know consciously. You play the low octave in 29. You play the low octave in 26 too. But just note that Chopin wrote them up an octave. So if it's part of your personal touch, okay, but make sure it's conscious.
It's conscious.
Okay, good. Then the top of that, this one, the last note of this one, up there. Do you play a C flat?
Oh wait, sorry, which one?
Yeah, so you play B flat. It sounds like. I think I did. Do you have a C or a B flat on the last one?
Oh, it's a C.
So
I've never noticed that.
So you know what? I think there are probably plenty of recordings. I was playing B flat until this morning. I went and looked online, and only one edition, the Fontana edition, has a B flat. Every other one, the Cortot, the Mikuli, who studied with.
Yeah, I think I'm playing the Cortot.
So it doesn't I don't know that it really matters because nobody has ever really cared. But I just thought it was
How
curious.
interesting! I've never noticed that before ever. Isn't that
But
interesting?
more important though is that we have. I better show this from above first. That this is a particularly awkward passage after that. So right here. Oh, sorry. When you have this. So if you play it with the, you know what? I think I should tell the cheat fingering first. So just so you know, the cheat fingerings would be like this. If you played 5, 3, 1, 3, 5, 2, 1. I think. Let's see. I guess I wait. I guess I would do 5, 2, 1, 3. No, I'm in the wrong one. Sorry. It's this. I was in the next one. It's 5, 2, 1, 3, 5. Try that once.
5, 2, 1,
3.
3 over. No.
Yeah. So watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go.
Do it slower.
So.
Do it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. No, I'll write it down and I'll explore it.
But so I don't think I did that one, but the next one I used to have to do, and that would be in the F7 chord. You'd play 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3. And then at the top, I usually would go back to normal, but at the top, you can also go around to 5, 2, 1, 3, 5, 2, 1. Check it out.
Oh, same as the fingering for the last one. Yeah. 5, 3, 1, 3. 5, 3, 1, 3, yeah?
5, 2, 1, 3.
5, 2, 1, 3. And the F7 going up was 2, 3.
1, 3, 2, 3. 1, 3, 2, 3.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Close for you. 3, 2, 3. And then 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 2, 1, 3. Okay.
So, and again, you don't have to do any of these. Some people think it's like sacrilegious, but I'll go ahead and you need to know the next ones, and then we'll be done with this. The one that gives you trouble, B flat, you can also play 5, 1. Take this one with the left hand.
And
then you play 1, 2, 5, 3, 1, 2, 5, 3.
Five, 2, 1, 2, 5, 3. Okay. I'll have to explore it.
And then on the way down, if you were coming down, of course, then you could go 5, 2, 1, 3, 5, 2, 1, 3, 5, 2, 1. And the last one, even though you can keep going on this, she showed me even further. You can still go on A, you play octave and then the thumb with the left hand. And then 1, 2, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2.
Okay.
So, and then 1, 2, 4, 2.
2. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just and we'll stop after this. But the 5, 7 chords, you can do the same thing. You can go 3, 1 with the left hand, and then 1, 2, 5, 3. At the top, I would just open up the hand and just do regular 5, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that actually flows okay.
And just to be truthful, I actually play these myself the way they're written: 1, 2, 3, 4. But just so you know, that is the sort of cheat fingering areas. And I did find that in the near the recap, right before the recap, that for my hand, I don't have a lot of space in the webbing. My webbing is strong between 2 and 3 in my right hand. So I had never until this morning tried this E major one that goes on this one. You could also do that where you could go 2, 1, 2, 5, 3, 5, 5-2-1-3. So I have to say,
That's that one you're talking about?
yeah.
Okay.
And the one that goes from E to G sharp. The one right.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's really awkward to go 5-3-2-1. And so just today, I noticed that my hand felt really good playing 5-2-1-3, 5-2-1. It's really quite easy. So
yeah, okay. 5-2-1. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, that one is really comfortable. So anyhow, but now let's go to, if you play it either way, the one that's awkward here is that when you play back to measure 30, if you're going to play it with the regular fingering, then I think what has to happen is that the hand has to keep releasing like this, and then you're going to have to rotate back into this one a little bit to have any kind of power on that.
Yes. Yeah. So each time you move, it's got the fingers have to release, don't they?
Yes.
And then a rotation back to there.
That looks good. That looks good. Yeah. That looks really good.
It might be that I've played this for so long with that fingering, it might actually be easier to get it right with that fingering rather than change it now. I'm not sure. But great to know for people who are watching, great to know that, yes, people do change the fingering of this, because I've often wondered that myself. If you're watching, is this sacrilegious? Are we breaking the rules, or is this okay? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think for some people, it almost becomes, a necessity. I actually have a friend. He's almost 90, and for many years he was Claudio Arau's assistant, and he is. We briefly crossed. He's a professor at my university, and he talked about. In this etude, he said that Claudio would say, you have to go up to Maine. Well, do you know what Maine is in the United States? We have the states of the United States, and that little one up in the upper northeast is the farthest one, and you go up the coast, and that's Maine. And so if you had to imagine you had to go up to Maine.
Oh, with your pinky.
Yeah, so when you have to play right there, you have to go to Maine. And you also have to do it with this one. So it's not a comfortable thing. Though both of those are pretty. I don't know. I think I've tended to think that the F7 one with this fingering is a little more awkward because there's a tritone there at the end between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And unless you have unusual webbing and you can play with 3, I could never play that with 3. My hand would never allow me to do it. So that's where people have to decide on your own individual conscience. If you think it's a kind of sacrilegious thing, or if there's some machismo to keep it, this is one I've not played in a public performance beyond a studio class. Ann Shine had a studio class where we all had to get up and play this. So in that way, it had to be performed, and been playing it for 35 or more years, but it's something that it always needs reworking. I mean, no matter who you are, it seems like, it needs something.
Needs some TLC all the time. I wanted to ask you, Fred, about the B flat arpeggios, because I also came across a similar construction in the second scherzo. And I think I mentioned those bar numbers to you. So what I found is that if we stick to the original fingering of the etude at bar 31 to bar 33, the thumb is on the B flat and it's doing this arpeggio. And there's something for me about getting the thumb back on the black note after you've done the arpeggio that always feels clunky to me, and I thought you might have a trick up your sleeve. And I found the same thing in the scherzo. It does this movement at bar 488. Sorry, it's together, isn't it? And I know I do this kind of thing, Fred, which isn't helping because I think I'm coming too far away from the next B flat. So I need to stay in the keys or something. Would that be right?
Yes. So there's two things happening here. I'm wondering which to take. Should I take the scherzo or the etude? I think I better say the etude first because you're doing something a little bit different on this one than you were on the others. In other words, if you look at your hand and just do it without thinking for a moment and play like 2 octaves of it. Just okay, that's fine. So Tim, look at my hand. I think you're kind of going like this. I'm sort of, so see if you can tell what I'm doing differently now the next time I'm going to play. Can you tell? I'll do it, slow it down now. I'll in slow motion, I think you're going more like this. And I'm doing this.
Oh, it's the alignment of the hand again.
Yeah, and releasing. I think you're.
Yeah. So I'm stretching to the right again.
You are subconsciously, at least. I think you're actually trying to reach these notes, and you want to be able to release them immediately. Otherwise, this becomes taxing, and then this is to tie together today's thing. Remember the repeated notes? I was saying that repeating is much easier to go this way than to go this way, which is what was happening to you. And I think you're doing a variation of that. Very common problem.
So I need to think of it, because I was doing this, and I've moved to keeping that alignment. So I need to do the same thing. I haven't worked on it. You found me out, Fred. I haven't done the hard work on that. So I need to.
Right.
I need to work on that, keeping that alignment and releasing. Yeah.
Already getting better, and then you'll find that the place, just like in the scherzo, is how do you iron out the seam, which means right from here to here. Because in fact, if you look at my 5th finger, I think I probably, either I'm releasing it totally or I probably am, it's almost like it becomes staccato. It's funny that Chopin wrote legato on this etude. Let me look at actually, I'm not seeing it in my edition, but I think there's an edition where it does have that. And when in fact, often we need to play with a kind of almost staccato attack. Not that we would hear this, but if I didn't have any pedal, it'd be like, you can't play.
Yeah. No, I noticed that when I changed to your way of approaching the start, I felt it was much more staccato kind of feeling, but that was the only way that gave me that release of tension.
Right. That's right. And actually, in Abby Whiteside's book, Mastering the Chopin Etudes and Other Essays, she talks about how, even things like octave technique, even these kind of things are essentially staccato techniques, even though you'll see in some editions where some editors will not only write legato, and maybe Chopin has legato markings, but legato marking doesn't mean necessarily that everything is finger legato. But some of them will write 5-4-5-4-5-4-5, and that is not a recipe for success. That's a recipe for injury, because you're in one of the main causes of injury is twisting, and then adding force to that, you're really risking a lot. So playing in alignment and moving with the smallest amount of motion gives you much more speed and ease, and something you can do effortlessly. So anyhow, I know we're wrapping up.
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of minutes.
But let's get this this spot in the scherzo is similar when you have the. Let me make sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would go. Let's see, in slow motion, it looks like. Let's take a look. I'm going. So I am sort of throwing from the
Oh, you do? Okay.
So you go. So this is rotation, but it's also a lot of, it's alignment. I think of something that Veda Kaplinsky told me. I'll switch to this thing, and you may have heard me say before, where on the 4th finger, you want to stand tall. So what that means is that it's supported. In other words, like if, I just want you to see that I'm not letting it sort of collapse, but that all these, you need to be able to shake them out. This is where I would use that. Yeah, I would use that technique of like doubling them, maybe going, and then really move.
And
That's good.
Where do you land on your thumb?
I land generally on the side of the thumb in the corner near the
Of the
nail.
nail. Okay, yeah.
But obviously it's not on the nail, but it's there. And you just did a really good motion there. You did the next thing, which was to do this as one, where you use the momentum and you use the
Yeah.
preparation. And in this case, you get to start this spot. This is after the, let's see, this is the, right? So this needs,
Yes.
coming from the, let's see, you have time to come around here to make this turnaround like this. So when you come around from this, you use the momentum to take you in this direction.
Can you just go overhead quickly, Fred, before we wrap up? Just show that overhead. Yeah.
Yes. So this is coming out of the. So we have you've come around from.
So you're seeing the end of that. Is that the right one? Oh, I'm out of place. You're seeing the end of that phrase, and then this is the start of a new motion back up the piano.
Right. What was the fingering you used for the two notes before that?
Hang on. So 4/3.
Okay. So here's the trick. Also, take a look at my hand again. I'll do it slowly. I would do at the top on the one before. So first of all, you have a D7 and then a G sharp diminished 7. Diminished, and then E diminished back to G to D. And so on the G sharp, you have. I would play 1, 2, 5. I actually go 5, 3, and then on the next one.
Oh, you got what? Sorry, 1, 2, 5, 3.
I would, and then I'd go down, and then 2, 1, and then I'd use 5, 4, 5, 4, 1.
5, 4. Sorry.
Yes, 5, 4, 2, 1.
5, 4, 2, 1, 5, 4. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's see. There it is. That's it. So, yeah.
Yeah. 5, 4, 2, 1, 5, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would definitely recommend switching to that fingering. It's actually much more powerful. It's a better aligned fingering. And the other ones I saw in one edition, I don't know if Cortot uses that some use the 4-3-2. You're already twisted. You lose power, and you want to be able to land in alignment with that. The pinky is contrary to what we were all taught. I actually think I'm going to actually start saying it this way. The pinky is a strong finger, because it's strong as long as it is supported well, and it's the only one that can be kind of made into a sort of sharper. What should I call this?
Like a hammer. It's a bad word for it, but
I know I was thinking of that word and I didn't want to say it, but that's actually it. As long as you have good, like a musical concept of the sound, that you're not hammering it. It's not martellato unless you make it that way. If you go into the sound point and you're still sensitive and musical about it, then it won't be a hammered sound, but it will be more dynamically. In this case, I'm not just using dynamics in the terms of forte and piano, but as it's a more dynamic, energetic, alive with the life force kind of sound. So, and then the fourth finger, yes, if you have it in a duel with the others, it's a weak finger. But if you play it supported, and then especially if you're doing what I call an over motion in my three-dimensional approach to playing, then this is an over motion as we come down the piano, and then as you're coming around, you still have to give the same support to it, so that it won't collapse. Anyhow, so
this scherzo is all about that, and I loving working on the finish as well. Like it's all about that pinky.
yeah, and
lots of fun.
And if you don't, just think of all the brilliance that we lose if we don't actually conceive of that kind of blooming, blossoming sound that's able to ring out. So. Yeah, great.
Well,
work.
I think it's probably a good spot to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Fred. You have taught me a massive amount in 6 weeks or thereabouts. And
I think this is really only our third session, but it's 6 weeks. You're right. It's every week because we missed one. So this is
That's right.
I think this is our third session. So,
but it's just been great. And look, thanks to you for everyone who's watched and provided feedback and things like that. We're glad you're enjoying it. And we thought we'd meet again in 2 weeks. That's the last one before Easter. Then we might have a bit of a break. And we'll work out, I might put a longer session of something under the microscope for you. But really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all that we're learning. Kate said thank you as well. Appreciate you there, Kate. Thank you. And Fred, if give yourself a quick plug before we go as well. Where should people go to find out more about this style of playing and what you teach?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's now so easy to do so because you can take a free trial at my website, which is entradapiano.com. So all you have to do is
it's
really easy to
fantastic.
take a 14-day free trial. You can see all within there of the you could go under the microscope with the kind of skills that we're doing with tremolos, trills, repeated notes, etc. after you build your foundation. But also we're close to 100 masterclass tutorials. So there's tutorials on repertoire based from elementary through advanced. And I'm going to be recording another internal guidance about this right now. So I'm thinking about it, how I'm encouraging people to actually work on things that are a little easier at first to integrate things. And then you find that you accelerate your learning so much. But yeah, I mean,
yeah. So don't try and play this.
I don't think
that's what I would. That's the advice I'd give myself now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do. Well, I think you can do it side by side sometimes too, because sometimes we feel almost like hungry for playing something hard. But
that's true. Yeah.
But it's good to also be able to assimilate something easier and do that. So yeah, I would just go to entradapiano.com and sign up. We'd love to have you, and you can always cancel anytime. The risk is all on us.
You won't want to, because I've been in there and the library is fantastic and the quality of the videos and all that kind of stuff. Like your production, your teaching it's just it's brilliant. So thank you, Fred. Really appreciate that. I hope people go and check you out. Beck says awesome. So thanks, Beck, as well. To anyone else watching, appreciate you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And hopefully these will sound even better. Thanks again, Fred.
Yeah, thanks.